Hello again. In the description to this video, I give a link to a newspaper article from The Guardian yesterday, which suggests that black people are being excluded from the countryside. Like so much of the agitation by black people in both this country and the United States, this is really no more than a cunningly disguised Trojan horse. Although on the face of it, the piece is an appeal for acceptance of black people to be seen in the countryside like anybody else, the real message is a rallying cry for the class war. The very title of the article gives the game away. The English countryside still feels like a white middle-class club. We can and will change this. Note how class is introduced alongside race, and that the writer expresses a determination to change the current situation. What is it he wants to change? Is it the situation regarding race or class? Or both? That's a giveaway, as is the opening sentence of the article itself. It begins as follows. It remains a shocking fact that 92% of land in England is privately owned. Well, what's shocking about that exactly? It might be shocking if you're a dedicated Bolshevik who believes in collective farms and thinks that landowners should be shot, but for the rest of us it poses no problem at all. Many of us own our houses and gardens, and we are aware too that farmers often own the land they farm. Why on earth should we be shocked at this state of affairs? We're told a few lines later that access to green spaces is a problem that affects the vast majority of us. Well, no, it doesn't. I spend a lot of time in the countryside, and there are plenty of footpaths, rights of way, bridleways, green lanes, and so on, which cover the English countryside in a network of places one can walk. I could walk from here to the sea if I wanted, hardly ever setting foot in a road. What is the nature of this problem? It seems that a tiny portion of England is open to the public, and the rest is presumably owned by toffs like Bertie Wooster or something, wearing monocles. Many people feel excluded or alienated from even that sliver. Again, the false perspective that only a tiny portion of England is open to the public. You can roam around the countryside for days on end and nobody cares. Even if you're not on a recognised right of way, I've never yet had any trouble with a farmer when taking a shortcut across land. Obviously, I don't trample crops or start fires, but apart from that, nobody cares where you go. Then there is talk of reclaiming rural areas and making them a welcoming place for people of colour. Well, I certainly cannot claim rural areas because they don't belong to me any more than they do to black people. That is a weird idea. They can certainly visit rural areas just as I do, but as for claiming them, that sounds a little strange. The true message of this piece is not about race at all, but rather about the class struggle. The writer feels that it is shocking that people can own land, and he wants all land to be owned by the state. That's what you call communism, and I, for one, am not really in favour of it in this country. I've drawn attention to the way that the definition of racism has changed in the last few years, and this is part of the same insidious process. Racism no longer means racial prejudice. It's now understood to mean an imbalance of power, and it's closely allied to the class struggle. This is why the Black Lives Matter movement is explicitly and avowedly Marxist in inspiration and nature. They do not merely wish to do away with racism, they want to revolutionise society and destroy the way of life which we lead at the moment. This would include the abolition of private property, among other things, so that land and houses are collectively owned by the state, as was the case in the Soviet Union. You can see this clearly in the article to which I give a link. It starts by appearing to be about racial equality and the chance for black people to visit the countryside like anybody else, but it is tied in with a denunciation of the very principle of private property, a concept described as shocking. I advise viewers to keep an eye out for this kind of thing because it's increasingly common. Anti-racism is really no more than a front in many cases for Marxism and revolution.